Hi, this is a video tutorial for Unit 2, Activity 1. And since this is the beginning of Unit 2, I'd like to give you a bit of an overview. And this unit is going to focus on summary writing. So Unit 1, we focused on information paragraph writing, and you wrote 3 paragraph drafts, and then you chose one to fix up and to submit as your polished paragraph. Well, we'll do the same thing in Unit 2, but with summaries. You'll write 3 draft summaries throughout the unit, and then in Unit 2, Activity 4, you'll choose one of your drafts, fix it up, and submit it as your polished summary. So the goal of our first activity is to introduce the summary and summary writing. And so if we start in the Minds On section, you're going to be introduced to the global goals. And the global goals are 17 goals that have been established to make the world a better place by the year 2030. They were actually created in 2015, so we're in the process of trying to meet those goals. Things like ending poverty, fighting inequality, addressing climate change are all among the 17 goals. And so there's going to be a little chart here that's going to deal with child mortality and the preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5. That's one of the goals that that we want to achieve, is to end the unnecessary and preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5. So take a look at this graphic text. There's a few questions that you're going to be asked to answer to see if you understood the graphic text. These questions in this graphic text are not part of an assignment. They're kind of get you warmed up and kind of get you ready to move on to summary writing, and kind of a little reminder of how we read and break down graphic texts. These global goals that they're referring to here, though, are going to come up again a few more times in Unit 2 and Unit 3, so keep them in mind. Then when we move on to the action of the activity, we're going to introduce the idea of summary writing, and you're going to be asked to kind of reflect on a time in your life when being able to understand the essential parts of a text and being able to summarize something that you've read was an important skill to have. I think if we all think back and kind of look at our lives hard enough, the ability to take something and summarize it, whether it's something we've watched, whether it's something we've listened to, or whether it's something we've read, that's a really important skill to have. Okay, it's an important job skill. It's an important skill certainly in your academic life as well too. As we continue on here, we'll talk about the different parts of what makes up a news report, because the first thing that you're going to have to summarize in this unit is a news report. So this is just going to be a little review of what makes up a news report and the structure of a news report. And then we'll talk about the setting a purpose for reading, and you'll get a little reminder about the reading strategies that we covered in Unit 1. They'll be important again in Unit 2, and you'll certainly need to know these reading strategies for your midterm test at the ending of Unit 2, so keep them in mind. And then we'll see if we can put the reading strategies into practice here and read a news article or a news report. And in this case, the news report you're going to read is Finland's famous baby boxes are coming to Canada. First stop, Alberta. So what you'll do is you'll go through this news report and give it a read. Okay. Notice the different parts that make up the news report. You can go back and you can see how the news report starts with a lead, and then how it follows this sort of inverted triangle structure when the news report is written. Okay. Once you've read the news report, you're going to see a summary that's already been written for you of that news report. It's going to be an exemplar. It's going to show you how a summary should look. And it was prepared by a teacher. And so when you write your summaries in Unit 2, you want them, of course, they'll be on a different topic and a different piece of writing, but you want them to kind of look like this. You want to introduce, in the very first sentence, you want to introduce your author, your title, and the main idea of whatever it is that you just read. So you'll notice that in this summary exemplar, you've got the author, the title, and the main idea of this news report are all established, all in one sentence at the very beginning. And then what you'll continue to do here is you'll summarize the information in the news article. And you'll notice that the teacher that prepared this summary did not just take exact sentences right from the news article and put them into her summary. She used her own words as well. Summarizing is not the same thing as copying, right? You're not just copying what you've just read. You're trying to simplify it and summarize it into its key points. Okay, so you won't have a chance to rewrite everything that's in this news report. Your summary is not going to be as long as the news report, so you have to find a way to condense it and to grab only the most important points. Okay, you'll notice at the ending of the summary is a citation. So it's got the author's last name and first name. It's got the title of the news report. It's got the publication, so it was published in the Calgary Herald newspaper, and it's got the date. You'll be expected to put a citation for whatever it is that you've summarized after your summary. So again, use this as your exemplar, as your example when you write your own summaries. Okay? If we continue on, we'll move on to doing exactly that. Eventually, you're going to have to write your own summary on either this article or this article. So you have a choice between an article about teens and e-cigarettes, or about food prices soaring in Nunavut. So you can choose one of those two. You don't have to read both of these news reports. Just choose one. Read through it. They'll give you some good ideas here about how you can make notes and identify the main idea and the supporting details in whichever news report you read here. And they actually have links here where you can print. The link will go to a page where you can nicely and neatly print the articles if you want, and then you can use a highlighter or a pen to just go through the articles and cross out and put notes in about what you want to include in your summary. So that might be the easiest way to actually produce a summary, is to go over what you're going to summarize and jot notes on that page and highlight and underline what you want to include. Okay? So once you've made notes on whichever news report you've chosen to read, you're going to complete 2 assignments. The first assignment is you're going to answer reading response questions. So you've got 3 reading response questions. They're the same questions that you were asked back in Unit 1, Activity 2, when you had to do a reading response to a news article in Unit 1 there. So you'll answer the same questions, but for whichever one of these 2 articles, again, these 2 articles right here, the food prices or the e-cigarettes article, right? So whichever one you read, you'll answer these 3 questions for it, okay? And you'll submit your response, your answers to the 3 questions to this Dropbox right here, okay? And then you'll complete a second assignment, and you'll complete your first summary. And so it'll ask you to write in complete sentences. It'll tell you to begin with a topic sentence that identifies the main idea of the news report, the title of the news report, and the author's name. You're going to include supporting details, but leave out any unnecessary words or examples. You're going to link your supporting details using transition words. You're going to use your own words whenever possible. If you're going to take exact words from the article that you've read, put quotation marks around it. You must let the reader know that these are not your words, and you shouldn't be including a lot of quotations in your summary. You should be using mostly your own words. Okay, and then lastly, you're going to include a full citation for the article. So if you go back to the exemplar, you'll have to include the the author's name, so the last name and then the first name, the article title, the newspaper or magazine title, and the date. And you can get all of that right here, right at the top of the page for each of the news articles. So whichever one you choose, you should be able to write a proper citation for it. And then once you've done that news report summary, you'll submit your work right here. And that's it for Unit 2, Activity 1. If you have any questions, please let me know.